Hello, welcome to my first video game review. I want to start off by stating that I've been a big fan of video game reviews since 2006 when I first started watching James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd. I watched all of his videos and I enjoyed every single one of them. Then, when I ran out of his videos, I started looking for more, so I got on YouTube and started searching around, and I found that there are so many excellent YouTube personalities out there that review video games. Partly due to this, I realized that most video games have already been reviewed by some YouTuber, and that doesn't deter me one bit. When I'm searching around the web for video reviews, I'll watch reviews about the same game over and over just to see what different sources have to say about it. I'm hoping other viewers do the same. As for me, I simply want to talk about video games because I love them and they've been a huge part of my life for so long. So, without further ado, let's talk about Tail Concerto. Tail Concerto is a PlayStation 1 title that came out in North America on August 31st, 1999. This was just 9 days before the release of the Sega Dreamcast, so it's easy to see how this title was overshadowed by the release of a next-generation console, even though it really should not have been overlooked. It was published by a company named Atlus. I came to notice Atlus after seeing their name proudly displayed on many RPGs that I enjoyed back in the day. Turns out, Atlus publishes a ton of different games. Generally, if I see the name Atlus on a game, I'm eager to try it out. The character design in this game, which I think is phenomenal, is by Nobuteru Yuki. You may not recognize the name, but I'm sure you'd recognize the characters from Chrono Cross or Seiken Densetsu 3, otherwise known as the third game in the Secret of Mana series that was never released in the US. The music in the game was composed by Chikayo Fukuda and Seitsu Nakata, who also worked on the soundtrack for some of the Dot Hack games. There's not a single tune that I didn't enjoy in this game. Every bit of the music fit each stage to a T. Music is either flighty and fun, simple ambiance, or menacing and mysterious. I found myself humming some of the tunes after I'd finished the game, and when it comes to video game music, you can't really ask for much more than that. All in all, I would say that the music in Tail Concerto is very fitting for whatever the situation might be in-game, and it is an overall delight to listen to. If there's one thing that I loved about gaming in the 90s, it's FMV sequences. And if the AMV sequence just happens to be animated, it's just that much better. Aw yeah. I love cartoons, and thus I'm a fan of most anime that I've seen. The FMV sequences in this game are excellent. The characters look great, the scenery looks great, they sound great. You can tell that a lot of work went into animating these scenes, which are littered throughout the game.
So the Black Cats are collecting the crystals to revive the Iron Giant?
Let me note that at no point was I frustrated to see an FMV sequence. It was always a joy, almost like a reward for making it this far in the game, just to see the cutscene that fit.
Alicia, no! I can't let you have this crystal!
So why would I choose this game to be my first review? Well, I have a sort of nostalgic fondness for this video game. I first played the game on a demo disc for the PlayStation 1. It was a playable demo under imports on the PlayStation Underground Jetpacks 1998. It was all in Japanese, but I still had an absolute blast playing it. I had a bit of a thing for demo discs back during the PS1 era. This was before I had ready access to the internet, and I got most of my information about video games from magazines and demo discs. Many of the PS1 demo discs were actually sold for $4.99 a piece. That's some quality demos. Instead of dropping $50 or $60 on a video game, I could play several for $5. At least that's what my mentality was at the time, and I don't regret it a bit.
You've got some nerve coming into our headquarters. Do you really think you can stop me?
A rental store in my town called Sean's Update Video got the game, and I remember renting it and playing it a bit, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was awesome to see all the information translated into a story that I could understand, and it was in a full game instead of a demo. At the time I didn't finish it because the game had to be returned the next day, but I enjoyed what I played of it. On a side note, the rental store eventually sold all of its older games and only carries the newest console games now. Want to hear something kinda neat? Welcome to page 3. It's a comic slash video game slash board game slash movie slash everything awesome store in my hometown. I've worked here for a while now, off and on, and before that I was a long-time customer. I worked here before heading to graduate school, I worked here a little during the summers while back in town, and now I work here in the evenings for a few hours after I'm finished with my other job. I love this place. While working about a year ago, I was checking out some of our stock and I saw Tail Concerto. I was so excited to see it because I had practically forgot about it. I took the key, opened up the case, and you'll never guess what I found. On the inner rim of the disc, Sean's video was written. This was the copy that I used to play over 10 years ago. The only reason I didn't pick up the game was because it was missing some pages from the instruction booklet, and, well, as a collector it's hard to look over that, especially for a game that ranges from about $30 to $60 on eBay. Speaking of instruction booklet, check this thing out. This is quality. The entire thing is in full color, there's beautiful art in here, adequate explanation of the controls, etc, etc. The coolest thing in the instruction manual is that it has a little backstory about Prairie and contains details about your character and his police mech. Very cool. I find it's rare to see this kind of quality in video game manuals, I guess because hardly anyone actually reads them. But the folks at Atlas took the extra time to put together this amazing instruction manual, and I wanted to take a moment just to appreciate it. Before I talk about how the game actually plays, I want to mention the graphical style, which I love. As you've probably noticed, everything is bright and colorful. That's something we've been missing in the last few years of gaming. Each location is a joy to explore, and the game boasts some awesome graphics. Of course, they are a little dated by today's standards, but when you compare Tail Concerto to other games that came out for the PlayStation 1, it's actually quite lovely. In the game you play as Waffle Ryebread, a dog in a mech suit, in a sky pirate kind of setting, chasing and catching cats by shooting bubbles. I don't want to give away any of the story, but you'll always be busy trying to capture cats. The game seems to be a thinly veiled message on race relations. The cat people think the dog people hate them, so they rebel. The dog people actually like the cat people. Part of the adventure comes in figuring out where to go next. There's a small hub near your house where you can speak to people in town and they'll describe what's going on. Talking to 2 or 3 people, the only 2 or 3 people in the area, will cue the next event. What I like about this is there's not a dozen useless characters standing around talking about inane tripe like you get in many RPGs. When you return to your aircraft fly away, you'll have a message about what to do next. This is handy, different, and definitely welcomed. The controls feel a little goofy at times. Driving the mech is pretty straightforward, but it slides a bit. You'd think that the controls for a mech would be rather rigid. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy that it drives so lightheartedly, but it feels kinda slippery. Also, running the mech in circles is pretty funny. Watch those arms flail about wildly. Along with controlling the mech, you'll be jumping, grabbing, climbing, shooting, jetpacking, flapping, and moonwalking your way to excellence. I have to mention the voice acting in this game.
Man, what was he thinking taking credit for Waffles? And what was he thinking showing off like that?
A point I want to make is that much of the dialogue in the game is actually spoken, and the characters' voices fit them very well.
Like a palace guard should, Cyan saved you, Princess Teria.
Waffle is the only guard I need. Now, Waffle, let's go catch those black cats, okay?
Each voice is varied and gives each character a wealth of personality.
I'm jealous of your way with a ladies' officer, Waffle. Oh, I wish I was as tall as you.
I would venture to say this is some of my favorite voice acting on the PlayStation 1.
I wonder what happened to Flair.
I have very few complaints for this game, but the camera has to be one of them. The camera does a decent job of following Waffle, but there are times when trying to control the camera with L1 and L2 and dealing with the bomb-hurling kittens that may frustrate you a little bit. Thank you very much for watching my review of Tail Concerto for the PS1. Overall, I think the game is quite amazing. It's sad that so many people missed out on this gem. If you're into mechs, or animals, or 3D platformers, or anime-style FMVs, Sky Pirates, or stories about racial tension, then check out Tail Concerto. I promise you won't regret it. I was thinking that the jetpack part of the game would be a blast, no pun intended, but it actually just turned out to be rather frustrating. This guy threw a jetpack on me the first time and I was like, hey, awesome! By the time I visited this area again, he jumped me and I was thinking, get off of me, you walking disaster! See, that's like if I was playing Mario and Toad ran up to me in the stage and strapped a vest of dynamite to me and was like, good luck! Jetpacking is a minor part, but man, the jetpack controls could have been much, much better. I mean, just look at this. I'm completely out of control. Up, 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 oh, up, 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 up. The unnecessary balance in this game cracks me up. I actually cackled at this part while playing. Imagine the cats in these rooms, hearing the havoc I'm wreaking in the hallway, and then I step through the door in a mech suit. You think I can't see you under that chair? How's that wall taste? Going in and smacking the hell out of these cats, tearing up the furniture, tossing stuff, intimidating them. Get my backpack! You think you can hide from me in there? Get out of there! Son! Get my backpack! And then we take it back down a notch. Hey, I found the toolbox! Now we can fix the engine!